So we are rapidly approaching the deadline, and LS Fest actually begins 2 weeks from today as I'm filming this. Today's Friday the 8th. LS Fest starts in 2 weeks in Las Vegas, and if you guys probably watch the channel, you know that I'm going to be taking the Copo truck. That's my single cab step side, now LSA supercharged Silverado. Mechanically, the truck is now officially 100% complete. I actually just finished up the all-wheel drive conversion yesterday, but because of the way I've got to stack these next few videos, you're going to see the all-wheel drive conversion in the video that's going to drop on Thursday. But today we're just kind of taking care of like the last few cosmetic fixes because I am wrapping this truck. That's going to be happening today's Friday. I'm going to drop the truck off Monday morning to get wrapped. I have a fairly simple design. It's going to be a color change. It's kind of a homage or a throwback to my very first truck. So I've mentioned the truck a few times here and there. It was a 76 C10, so it's going to be close to the same color, but it's going to have a little bit of a graphic on the hood. And because we're doing like a Copo theme, I'm trying to make it look as if it were a factory designed sport truck or a muscle truck. So I can't wait to show you guys. In fact, I can't wait to see it myself because right now it's just a concept in my brain. I told the wrap guys what I wanted and they're gonna do what I told them. I don't know if that's gonna look good or not, but I think it will. So anyway, I am excited about that, but there's a couple of odds and ends that I had to finish up before I gave them the truck to get it wrapped. The first one I'm kind of a little bit like bittersweet about, I guess. I'm debadging the side of the truck. In fact, it's already done, and I'll put the B-roll in right now of it happening. But normally there's a body line that kind of runs down the side of the truck. It's like a 2.5 or a 3-inch wide molding, has a little bit of chrome in there. I pulled all that off. I pulled off the bow tie and the 1500 emblem, and I pulled off the badge that sits right behind the driver's shoulder, kind of on the B-pillar. I think it was an LS package on this particular one. Now, I really like how they look with those on there, but I just figured since I'm wrapping the truck, they probably could wrap around it, but that's just another edge where you potentially could get dirt under there and it could peel up. I've never owned a wrapped truck before or wrapped anything, so I don't know what like standard protocol is. So I just figured, why not just pull all that stuff off there? It only took me probably 3 hours to do both sides of the truck. Basically my process, just use a heat gun to soften up the emblem or the adhesive, pull everything off. Rubber eraser wheel on a drill that'll make quick work of all the adhesive that's still stuck on the door. And then of course I got my cheap Harbor Freight buffer and I just polished everything up, and I gotta say, now that it's done, it looks clean. I don't know, like I said, I'm bittersweet, but it definitely looks clean, and I know most people actually love the debadged look anyway. So now that that's taken care of, the only other thing I had to fix since I did the all-wheel drive conversion is a seal on the rear of the transfer case. The original one was leaking, so I just swapped that out real quick this morning. So now, mechanically, this truck is 100% complete. I do need to put a few braking miles on it because the front diff has just been re-geared. But yeah, mechanically, we are ready for LS Fest. I haven't really like fine-tuned it. I could probably get a little more power out of it in terms of timing because I'm running a fairly conservative setup, but I actually also just ordered everything this morning to do an E85 conversion on this truck. So I'm gonna probably wait to get that installed and some actually, good fuel in there before I lean on this thing really, really hard, because it's a supercharger. It does make a fair amount of heat, and I want to make sure I'm safe as well as powerful on the 4.8. So anyway, that's the step side. Kind of, you guys are now caught up to speed on that. And right now I want to get a few things taken care of on the tow rig. This is my 2020 AT4 HD. Picked it up back in September of 2019. Right now we've got just a bit over 55,000 miles on it, which, man, I'll tell you, the miles, they add up fast. I bought it back in September of 2019. It's been a pretty good rig for me overall. We did have to put a transmission in it, but that's, a warranty item. They took care of that. So I'm going to be putting a few Banks goodies on this truck over the next little while, mainly to kind of help prepare it for a summer of towing. I'm going to be taking the step side down to Vegas from, next week or week after, whatever it is. And that's like, I think that's like 300 or 400 miles, not a huge deal. But in September, we're actually going to be going to Oklahoma for a race series that's going to kick off. You've probably heard of it, Race Week 2.0. We're going to have probably the ugly truck in that one. It just depends on how everything works out. But that's like a 2.5-day drive from Utah to Oklahoma. So I just basically want to prepare the AT4 for towing. So like I said, we're going to be putting some Banks goodies on over the next little bit. And the first thing that I wanted to install is going to help the rear axle run nice and cool. It's one of their Ram Air Differential Covers. I watched them develop this. You guys probably did as well through their YouTube channel. And the whole reason why I think they developed this differential cover is because there's all these other companies that make them out there, and they claim, you know, they'll add fluid capacity and help the differential run cooler, but there's really no good way to test those claims. So Banks, they developed some testing procedures, and they actually found out that the flat back diff covers don't actually perform as advertised. So they wanted to develop a differential cover that actually would help the axle run cooler, and when it heats up, help it cool down quicker. And this is exactly what they came up with. Like I said, it's called the Ram Air Diff Cover. It doesn't actually increase the fluid capacity over stock, but they found out you don't need to, because on the inside here, you got all these cooling fins that helps, grab heat from the fluid and helps it radiate outwards. They have these grooves in here. I think they call this like the lubricant raceway. It helps, this one here helps splash oil back up onto the front pinion bearing. These guys here help put a little bit of oil onto the side carrier bearings, which is awesome. And then of course, like the main feature, they've got these scoops here that stick down just a little bit. Of course, they don't stick down below the bottom of the diff, but basically that's going to grab air and it's going to bring it over the back of the diff cover. And it's going to kind of pass it over these fins here to help your differential cool off. So I think that's really, really awesome. I'm a numbers guy. I kind of nerd out over stuff like that, and it was really cool to see in their tests. Number one, I was kind of blown away by how warm a differential can actually get. They did a test going up a grade, and it simulated, I forget the exact numbers, but I think it was like 300 or 350 degrees that the diff got up to. And the Banks diff cover actually helped the rear differential cool down so much quicker than some of the other flat back designs. So I was sold. I figured I got to get one because we're going to be doing a lot of towing. Out here in the West, we do live in the mountains, so there's a lot of grades that we go up with. And these new diesel trucks, the Duramax has got like 945 pounds of torque. With that 10-speed transmission, it'll maintain the speed limit up just about any grade that you want it to. So that will put a lot of heat into the axle. So anyway, the short version is this is going to help deal with that excess heat. And a little bit later on, we're also going to be installing their monster exhaust and the cold air intake. But for now, let's get started on this install. So the install of the diff cover could not have been simpler. It's designed to work with all the existing brackets and stuff that hold the brake lines kind of above the pumpkin there. It fits perfect, it looks awesome, and most importantly, we have an axle now that's going to run a little bit cooler and have better lubrication on the inside, which means it's going to last a little bit longer. Fluid and maintenance type stuff. This is actually the second time I've done a fluid change on this rear axle. To be honest, I have no idea what the recommended service interval is, but I generally like to change the gear oil every 25,000 miles, especially if you do a lot of towing. And you know, since I changed it last time, we've driven cross country, we've driven to several different states, so it's seen a lot of use, and maybe 25,000 miles is a bit too soon, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. That's kind of my whole like maintenance theory, is do it sooner rather than later. The great thing about the Banks Diff covers, when you fill it up, they have that fill plug right on the top, so you can easily get a full quart bottle up in there. Like normally when you're filling something kind of horizontally like that, where the factory fill plug is, it's very difficult to get the entire contents of one bottle in there. But now with the fill plug up top, you just stick the bottle straight up, it fits right in front of the spare tire, and you can easily fill the thing up. It's got a sight glass so you can tell when it's full. Or if you have a leak, like I just discovered I did on the wheel seal, you can just keep an eye on your diff fluid at a glance. So a really awesome diff cover. Check one out if you guys want to have your truck last long, and if you do any sort of towing or anything like that. Really awesome product. Can't speak highly enough of Banks. There's some really awesome guys over there. And I also can't wait they got a few more products coming out for these 2020 and newer trucks. They already have a filter back exhaust, but I'm waiting for the stainless one to come out. And then finally, they have a really awesome cold air kit. And between those two products, believe it or not, a filter back exhaust and a cold air intake, you can add 100 pounds of torque at the rear wheels on these L5Ps. That's a test Corey Willis did, and as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I've got to get one. So as soon as they come out with that stuff, I am going to get one. I'm going to install it, give you guys a review of what that looks like. So anyway, that will bring this video to an end though, so I want to say thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Next time we're going to see the all-wheel drive conversion on the step side, even though it technically is already done for me. And after that, we're headed to LS Fest, and we're going to do some drag racing. Catch you again soon, guys.